now. It's Derekh Chamblee, wow, outside of the John F. Germany Library. And it's still Thursday afternoon, about 1:45. And we're across the street from the Times building. And a little shout out for Adam C. Smith, political editor of the Times. And how it could be that the Tampa Bay Times missed the biggest story of the year. It's Derekh Chamblee with CyberCitizen Network outside the John F. Germany Library. Across the street from the Times building. Oh my. The biggest story coming out of Florida in the 2016 presidential election, arguably, was that Donald Trump would win the March 15th Florida primary over Marco Rubio and a host of others, including Senator Ted Cruz of Texas and Governor John Kasich of Ohio that were on the ballot, and a number of others like Ben Carson and Governor of New Jersey, Chris Christie, were still on the ballot. They were still on the ballot. All the anti-Trump vote was split. And it was a no-brainer in January, around the middle of January, based on information that I gathered at the Hillsborough County Election Bureau. I gave the story to Adam C. Smith and the Tampa Bay Times, but they didn't want to do anything with it. So in February, I published a projection through reader-supported news, Nix Dixon campaign, the projection that Donald Trump would win the March 15th Florida primary. And that's what happened. And the national media and the national political analysts did not have the story. In fact, the Marco Rubio campaign, whoever's managing, who in the world is managing Marco Rubio's campaigns? They didn't even realize that Florida was lost. Marco Rubio on March 15th lost 65 of 67 counties to Donald Trump. And now he's decided to run for re-election. But the thing about it is, Carlos Beirut is going to defeat Marco Rubio in the closed Republican GOP August 30th, 2016 Florida primary. Why? Because the Donald Trump vote from just a few weeks before on March 15th that repudiated Marco Rubio as a presidential candidate representing the state of Florida. Oh no, he didn't even do a good job as senator, U.S. senator. Oh, repudiated him. The Donald Trump vote, 1,078,000 votes against Marco Rubio. Oh, wow. And Marco Rubio, 638,000 votes. He's going to need at least 600 of the 700,000 votes remaining that went to Senator Ted Cruz, Ben Carson, Governor of New Jersey, Chris Christie. Even Jeb Bush was still on the ballot and got the votes. Now he'll get Marco Rubio, that's Marco Bush Rubot, R-U-B-O-T. Marco Bush, one word, Marco Bush Rubot. Google Marco Bush Rubot, R-U-B-O-T. Because the Bush family made Marco Rubio, so he can always count on the support, as he is, from Jeb Bush. And this is why Donald Trump will endorse Carlos Beirut for the U.S. Senate seat in the August 30th, 2016 closed Republican GOP primary in Florida against Marco Rubio. Also, Governor Rick Scott will endorse Carlos Beirut. And Carlos Beirut is also Cuban American. He's going to split the Cuban American vote, the Ted Cruz vote, and also all the Cuban American vote with Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio's not going to be able to depend on his base with the Cuban Americans in the state of Florida. And why Marco Rubio's campaign hasn't wised up to crunching the numbers that he's going to need to take 600 out of 700,000 votes in just a few days. And according to the Hillsborough Election Bureau, they've already mailed out the overseas ballots are on their way right now. And, you know, Marco Rubio, several weeks ago on a Sunday, CBS Faced the Nation, must have leaked classified information when, and since then he says, oh, the media was saying it's eerie, he's a prophet, when he looked ahead and said, I wouldn't be surprised if there were terror attacks in Turkey in the next couple of weeks. Well, where did he get that information? Where did Marco Rubio get that information? He hasn't been going to work at the Senate. He sits on the Foreign Relations Committee. I don't even think the rest of the Foreign Relations Committee had that intelligence. That classified information, he leaked it for his own political gain on Face the Nation, CBS, several Sundays ago. Marco Rubio should be stripped of his seat on the Foreign Relations Committee, and he overstepped his bounds. This is something that a Secretary of State would probably not even comment on Face the Nation in the media on. It's something the president is handling, not some, you know, loose cannon U.S. senator that's representing. Nobody knows Marco Rubio here. He hasn't done anything in 5.5 years for the voters of Florida. But, oh, he wants to be reelected, and he's finding out now. In the next few days, he's going to find out. He's going to find out. The votes are just not there, and we're urging new voters to register for the new Republican Party, the new Florida Republican Party, led by Governor Scott, Rick Scott, who's going to endorse Carlos Beirut for the U.S. Senate seat. The U.S. Senate seat out of Florida against Marco Rubio. And Donald Trump is going to come here to campaign over and over in Florida because he needs the electoral votes from Florida. And Donald Trump's path to victory is through the campaign, supported also by Governor Rick Scott of Florida, through the campaign of Carlos Beirut. That's Donald Trump's path to victory, a new Florida Republican Party. And he doesn't need Jeb Bush, and he doesn't need Marco Rubio. He needs someone to win that Senate seat. He needs a senator he can count on in the Senate to come and show up and vote, that he can count on for his particular agenda should he win the White House. Donald Trump's path to victory in the state of Florida, and he needs the Electoral College, is by way of the Carlos Beirut campaign. This is Derekh Chamblee, CyberCitizen Network, downtown Tampa, the next great American city. Battleground Zero, epicenter of the 2016 presidential election outside John F. Germany Library. And it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day to register to vote. If you're registering to vote for the first time, register as a Republican. Vote against Marco Rubio in the U.S. Senate slot. Vote against Marco Rubio. And then, you know, by the November election, you can cross over if you'd like, or in the meantime, until October 11th, the last day to register to vote, you could probably even change after the primary, change your particular designated, whether you're Republican, Independent, or Democrat. But new voters, we're urging them to sign up as a Republican for the new Florida Republican Party, led by Governor Rick Scott, supported by Donald Trump, and by way of the Carlos Beirut campaign for U.S. Senate. Sign up as a Republican and repudiate, once again, vote against Marco Bush Robot, Senator Marco Rubio.